Assalamualaikum. Hello everyone. My name is Putri Ngawiradaya. I'm a postgraduate student in Unindra University majoring in English education and my student number is here. This video is made to fulfill academic speaking subject from my lecturer Dr. Feni Eka Midasari SPDMU. Today, I'm going to talk about a topic that is quite common but often debated in English language classroom. What is that? Code switching. And then is it good or bad? My presentation today will be divided into 4 parts. In the first part, I'm going to briefly explain about some benefits of code switching. And as we move on to the next part, I'll talk about the drawbacks to explore pros and cons of code switching. And the next, I'll share what experts and research say. And the last, I'll wrap up my presentation into a conclusion. First, what is code switching? According to Wardov 2006, in his book, An Introduction of Sociolinguistics explains that code switching happens when a speaker uses 2 or more languages, alternately in certain situations, as a form of social or communicative adjustment. So, code switching is the practice of switching between 2 or more languages in the same conversation. In our context, it usually means switching between English and Bahasa Indonesia during class. Now, is this practice helpful or does it do more harm than good? That's what I'll be discussing today. Here's a quick look at what I'll cover in this presentation. First, I'll explain some benefits of code switching. Then, I'll talk about the drawbacks. Next, I'll share what experts and research say. And finally, I'll give you my conclusion. Let's start with the benefits. Code switching can be very helpful for students, especially for beginners. According to Brown 2006, speakers use code switching to compensate for their lack of fluency and proficiency in the target language by using their first language to keep the flow during communication. Students tend to use code switching to clarify explanation in class because of the limited use of English. Okay, and then I have a picture here. Let's take a look. What are you thinking about this picture? This picture is about a teacher standing in front of the classroom and then she wants to explain about the lesson today. The lesson is about present continuous. She explains both in English and also in Indonesian. From this case, we know that the benefits of code switching, right? What are the benefits? Benefits according to Madsen and Burenholt 1999 are: the first, enhances comprehension explanation. Switching to the student's first language can clarify difficult concepts, instructions, or abstract ideas. And then the benefit, helps students understand the material more effectively, especially those with limited proficiency in the target language. And then the second, builds confidence. Allowing students to express themselves partially in their first language can reduce anxiety. So the benefit, encourages participation and help shy or struggling students feel more comfortable contributing. The third, supports vocabulary development. Teacher can use the student's native language to introduce or explain new words in the target language. So the benefit is reinforce vocabulary, learning by connected new terms with familiar ones. The fourth, bridges cultural gaps. Language carries cultural meaning. Using both languages can help students relate lessons to their own experience and culture. So the benefit is makes learning more relatable and inclusive. Fifth is save time. Switching briefly to the student's first language can explain instructions or manage the class more efficiently. So the benefit is reduces time spent on misunderstandings, allowing more time for actual learning activities. The sixth, promotes better classroom interaction. Teachers and students can code switch during discussion to maintain fluency and flow. Then, the benefit is leads to smoother, more natural communication in class. The seventh, acknowledges students' linguistic identity. Using students' first language show respects for their background. So the benefit boosts self-esteem and creates a more accepting classroom environment. And the last is scaffold language learning. Code switching provides a transitional linguistic support while students develop full proficiency. So the benefit helps students gradually move from relying on their native language to using the target language independently. But of course, there are also some disadvantages from using this code switching too much. While code switching can be an effective communication tool in certain situations, overusing it can have some disadvantages, especially in educational settings. Here are some potential drawbacks. The first, confusing for students. Frequent switching between languages may confuse students, especially those who are still learning either language. They might struggle to follow the lesson or may not fully grasp the meaning if they are not proficient in both languages. So the impact, students might not develop fluency in one language, leading to challenges in mastering vocabulary, grammar, and syntax. The second is inconsistent learning environment. If code switching is used excessively, it can create an inconsistent learning environment where students are unsure which language to focus on. This might disrupt the natural flow of the lesson. So the impact, student might not know when to use the language for academic purposes or casual conversation, which can reduce the effectiveness of learning. So, what do the experts say? Many language teachers and researchers agree that code switching is not a bad thing as long as it's used wisely. Experts in linguistic and sociolinguistic view code switching as a natural, meaningful part of bilingual or multilingual communication. Here are key insights from experts. The first is functional tool for communication. According to sociolinguistic John J. Gumpers, code switching is not random, but serves specific social function, such as clarifying meaning, emphasizing a point, marking identity or group membership, and the last is creating intimacy or solidarity. The second is cognitive and educational value. Research by scholars like Ofelia Garcia and Jim Cummins suggests code switching supports bilingual cognitive development, and it allows students to access knowledge in both languages. And then teachers can use code switching strategically to enhance comprehension. The last is not a sign of language deficiency. And then another expert like Carol Myers and Scotton argue that code switching is not a mistake or result of poor language skills. It's a sophisticated linguistic strategy used by fluent speakers. To conclude, code switching is not always good or always bad. It depends on how and when we use it. If used with a clear purpose, it can support students' understanding and build connection. But if it becomes a habit, it might slow down language development. As an English teacher, we need to be aware of this and make smart decisions in the classroom. Use code switching when it helps, but don't rely on it too much. Thank you so much for watching my presentation. I hope this topic was helpful and gave you a new perspective on code switching in the English language classroom. If you have any question or comments, feel free to reach out. Have a great day!